Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And this video is going to be an offseason outlook of the Carolina Panthers. And this is a team that went 5-11 a year ago. Not the season they were hoping for under new head coach Matt Rule, but I think we all agree that there was some promise on this team. They do have some young talent. They're trending in a positive direction. So we're going to break down what they could do in free agency, in the draft, and potentially with trades to better their chances at success in 2021 and beyond.
There's a lot the Panthers can do right now, and they're a team that you think about it. You might go, "Who? They're just the Panthers. They're just right in the middle of the pack." And last year they were, but with their new head coach, as we've seen Matt Rule do at other colleges with Temple and most recently Baylor before he went into the NFL, it's quick rebuilds, and that seems like something we could be seeing here. I like the future of the Panthers right now. They have the 8th overall pick, which we'll talk about what they could do with that later on. They have some cap to go out and get some free agents if they'd like to. It might not be the most highly sought-out destination to go, but if I was a free agent, I'd think that's a pretty appealing place to go. There's a lot they can do, and we're going to discuss it. So you guys start us off. What do you think should be some priorities in the 2021 offseason for this Carolina Panthers team?
Well, first of all, before jumping to 2021, I want to take a step back and look back to 2020 and see what this team did with their draft and their team in 2020. And that was really building up that defense. They went all defense, and I mean all defense in the draft, did not select an offensive player in the draft. And they drafted Derek Brown very early on. He was their first pick, and after that, they just kept going. They have a few really good rookies on that defense right now. Jeremy Chin, someone that you could argue was the best rookie safety this year. Troy Pride is also a rookie. I liked him coming into the league. So a lot of young guys on this team, and they really focused on that defense last year. So they have Matt Rule, who I feel like he can oversee everything, and then they also have Joe Brady, who's kind of going to be continuing to help out Teddy Bridgewater if they choose to stay with him in this offense as it goes along. But they started building up that defense, and now I feel like this year it's going to be a bit more centered on the offense and getting them going. And there were some bumps last year that made it stop. They could have been better. We'll get to that in a second. But I feel like this team has, I feel like we always say this, but they have a potential, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the pieces are there. The defense is better. I just want to see some more production on both sides of the ball, and this team has a shot to compete. They are in a tough division, though.
They are in a tough division, and I agree with what you said about their defense. There's a lot of nice young players that they've brought in, first-year, second-year players, so I think that's an up-and-coming unit. It might take time to reach its full potential, but, the seed has been planted on that Panthers defense for sure. But I want to segue into the offense, and like Jordan mentioned, I do think that now the offense will be more of the focus for Carolina in this upcoming offseason. And you look at what they have right now, they've got some really nice players. They got Christian McCaffrey. You get him healthy, he is a force. Mike Davis actually did a good job when McCaffrey was banged up.
Agent.
Mike Davis is?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe, the way he performed will make him, more inclined to go back there, and maybe they'll, reunite with a new contract, or maybe not. But the receivers they have really promising. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, two guys that contributed. Curtis Samuel, they use him a lot in the short passing game. He's a pending free agent, so we'll see what they do there. So the skill positions, they're there, but what I think Carolina needs to address, tight end and offensive line, I think have to get better. The rest of the offense, with as far as running backs and receivers are concerned, quarterback we'll get to later, so I'm going to leave that out for now. But running backs, receivers, you're looking pretty good right now, but tight end and offensive line, I think, needs to improve.
Yeah, Ryan, I agree with you. I like the wide receiver group. I like Robbie Anderson. I like DJ Moore. And that last one, Curtis Samuel, he's a free agent, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. You thought that they should sign him back, and I completely agree with you because last year, Curtis Samuel, I know this because he was on my fantasy team, he was more than just a wide receiver. He was one of those gadget guys, and he could do a lot of things. They used him a lot. Sometimes they lined him up in the backfield or brought him across the formation on reverses and stuff like that. And also he played the wide receiver position, which is what he's listed at. So he did a lot of those things. He's kind of like a Cordero Patterson type guy, except he's more of a receiver out of it as well. I like Curtis Samuel. I look for them to keep him. I like these receivers. Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore both had their really good moments this year. They really showed flashes of potential with this team. And Christian McCaffrey, injured as you mentioned, first pick in virtually every fantasy draft. And sorry, don't worry, I drafted Michael Thomas, so I feel some of your pain as well there. So once they kind of get McCaffrey back, and if they're able to maintain what the wide receiver group did last year, then it comes down to the quarterback and the offensive line, which I'm sure we'll get to in just a smidge of a second.
Yeah, it's very important. But you guys are mentioning it. With
tight
McCaffrey coming back and those wide receivers and possibly a new quarterback, which we will address because it's a huge part of this offseason as to what they're going to do, this offense could be dangerous. And the defense you guys mentioned as well. There's so many young guys. But a lot of them, you look at their depth chart and their guys they've drafted in the past 3 or so years. Brian Burns, Derek Brown was just last year. Jeremy Chin had a good rookie year. Dante Jackson, just naming off some good people now. Troy Pride was a new one as well. There's a lot of guys that they're hitting on in the draft, and more that I'm sure we'll continue to see. Kind of like what the Bucks did with their drafts recently on defense. Guys that might not be the most high-profile names, but make a big impact. That seems like what this Panthers defense could be, and it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're a team that's on the rise, and I mean, the potential's there, and I feel like it just might take some time. Like with these young teams, I mean, they had a lot of young players. It was a new coach last year, a lot of new guys on the staff. So I mean, you realize that just because you have those guys there, it takes time to mesh, and it might take a year, maybe more than that. But I think that Carolina's building something here, and I think that if they go well, I mean, we'll see what they do in the offseason. That's why we're making this video. But I think that the Panthers are definitely a team that is trending positive on both sides of the ball. You look at the coaching staff, you look at the roster, you look at the guys who will have a chance to get in the draft or via trade, which we'll talk about later. I think it's trending up in Carolina. And if you're a Panthers fan, you should feel pretty optimistic about your team's future, in my opinion.
All right, so let's get to it. 8th overall pick right now for the Carolina Panthers. So we've been bouncing around the idea, what are they going to do at quarterback? Are they going to draft a quarterback? Are they going to draft maybe a Kyle Pitts? I know that's what Ryan wants them to do. Maybe they can go a different position. They want to do stack up on defense. They might make that move if there's someone really good there, or just go offensive line because they do have a few free agents who are at the offensive line position. So a few options for this Carolina Panthers team. With that pick, what do you guys think they're going to do?
Well, and there's so many options they could even do with that pick, but it's all just going to be what happens with these free agents right now because there's a bunch of quarterbacks on the market, which we'll get to. But I'm with Ryan. I think they should think about Pitts or a quarterback if they still have something there. I'll talk about it more when we get to our favorite segment on this touchdown table, Tyler's tips. We will get there. But for now, I just think quarterback or Kyle Pitts if he's there. And that's where I'd go with it, and I'll address it more once we get to my favorite segment.
All right, right guy.
I'm the same way. I think that Kyle Pitts is a great player. He reminds me of Darren Waller, where he's basically both a tight end and a receiver. He's really fantastic, and I think, as I mentioned, tight end is a need, in my opinion, for Carolina. So if they could snag him at number 8, I think that would be a great pick. I think he'd mesh well into that offense, and I think it'd just be a great player-team marriage that would be dangerous for years to come. But if that doesn't happen, maybe that 8th overall pick is used in a quarterback trade for someone like Carson Wentz or Derek Carr, maybe even Deshaun Watson, which, by the way, Carolina is my dark horse team for a potential Deshaun Watson trade. I'll get into that later, but I expect the 8th overall pick to be used on an offensive player, whether it's a guy like Pitts or trading for a quarterback already in the league.
Or drafting a quarterback.
That too.
Yeah, and I'll chip in my opinion real quick. I have no problem with Pitts. I like him. I think that he could go at this 8th overall spot. I also could see them passing on him and letting him fall just because sometimes it might be a bit of risk to take a tight end at the 8th overall position, but then again, he's really darn good. But honestly, I don't feel the need to go out and get a quarterback. I like what I saw from Teddy Bridgewater last year, and I know that you might say we need a different quarterback. This guy has improved himself. Like we're trying to win now, but you're really not trying to win now, right? So why not give this guy?
You're always kind of hard trying to win.
Yeah,
now.
in theory,
true.
but you could be in a rebuild.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And as you mentioned earlier, this team is in more of a rebuild. Mm-hmm. I'd say why not give Teddy Bridgewater another shot? I think he had a decent season last year. I think that it was almost an underrated season last year. As I mentioned, the crew of wide receivers did a lot to help him, and he played really well. Went to a Panthers game. I liked what I saw from him there. They were playing the Bears. The Bears beat them. I got gloves from Roquan Smith. It was awesome. So thanks to the Panthers organization for that great experience. But I do like Teddy Bridgewater, and although I could see them going out and getting a quarterback, I'd have no problem with them sticking with Teddy Bridgewater as their quarterback. He's got a really interesting story in the NFL. He showed what he can do last year. I did not hate it. I think he deserves another shot, whether it's with this team, this Panthers team this year, or with a team in the future. I don't see him going away, and if I'm the Panthers, I stick with him. I do.
All right. Well, it's really interesting in the quarterback position, and right now I want to just ask you guys to go down in the comments, especially Panthers fans. Yeah. Let us know what you think your team is going to do with the quarterback position because I'm gonna talk about it in a second here. I have so many different options that they could go. Jordan, what you said they could do. They could just stick with Bridgewater. They could go out and draft a quarterback earlier or later in the draft or trade for one. There's so many options. So let us know, what do you think they should do before we go more in depth on the offseason moves. And with that, let's go more in depth on the offseason moves. Yep. You guys ready for Tyler's tips?
Yep.
All right. Well, welcome. We are now into the segment. Ready yet. Are you ready for Tyler's tips? Okay. All right. Now everyone's ready. Hopefully you guys are too. So let's start where we're talking about right now.
Drop a like.
Yeah, drop a like.
They should have done that already.
But I think there needs to be some way of addressing the quarterback's position as to if that's just saying Teddy Bridgewater is our guy this year. What I think they could do is maybe go out and get a later round guy and see what maybe happens with that. Like if Trey Lance falls to the second round or Kyle Trask is there later on, which I would assume he would be. You could do that. I don't know about that. There's also a situation where you could get Fields or Zach Wilson. One of those two would probably be there with that 8th overall pick. If they wanted to do that and have the bridge quarterback, pun intended, Teddy Bridgewater be the bridge quarterback, that would be another interesting one. I don't know what there is to do, and they could also go out and do a quarterback swap trade if they wanted to say, here, 49ers take our quarterback and we'll take Garoppolo, or same thing with Wentz or Watson or Darnold. I mean, there's a lot of different quarterbacks that you could just swap and say, here, take him, and we'll give you an extra pick for something like that. If they don't feel confident with Bridgewater, I think they could. Once again, I think there's so many options here. I want to know what you guys think because I don't have a foolproof one. But if I were to pick one, I would say I'm trying to go out and trade for someone without giving up a first-round pick and maybe swapping quarterbacks. I don't know, though.
Hey, you forgot to mention one thing, and that's P.J. Walker.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Well, P.J. Walker is a good backup quarterback. He's had his moments for sure. But
he played this year.
Yeah, he did. But I don't think we can sit here and say he's going to be the Panthers quarterback of the future. I mean,
XFL MVP.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going here in this segment.
Just had to mention Walker.
Because
he is still relevant.
Going back to the draft then, if Kyle Pitts is available and you've already addressed that quarterback position, I say take Kyle Pitts. We talked about that, and then we talked about the quarterback. Now talking about secondary, that's another need that this team does need. Maybe Desmond King, Xavier Rhodes, Ronald Darby. Yeah. Those are all free agents this year, I believe. So go out and get one of those guys, experienced guys. You could also go in the draft and do the same exact thing. And then, Ryan, you mentioned they need to address the line.
Yeah.
Both lines, really, offensively and defensively. And I think that's something they could look at.
The line's not terrible.
In the draft because there's going to be a lot of guys out there, especially on the offensive line, where I go, okay, you could get a good guy right there. They need to address the guard position, really, and Wyatt Davis would be a good one. And then I gave 2 examples, one offensively and one defensively for the Lions. Wyatt Davis was my offensive one. And defensively, I said Christian Barmore because he's a guy to me that's flying under the radar. I think he could be a first-round pick that they could potentially get in the second round. That would be another interesting one. And then I said, lastly, they need to replace Kuechly, not completely, but get another linebacker that could fill in that role. I don't know if that's in the draft. Jalen Moses was a name I thought of because I don't know if they do that in the first round or a free agent like KJ Wright, an experienced guy that's been around football for a long time. Just someone to put an experienced guy in this defense of young stars and get them all together and, yeah, do what Kuechly was able to do. So that's my advice for the Panthers heading into this offseason. Let me know what you guys think. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. And if you think I'm right, agree with me, and we'll have conversation. We've had good conversations on these offseason outlook videos, and I'm looking forward to it. What do you guys think of it?
Well, that was really a productive segment, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you have a lot of great points. I think that definitely, I mean, it's interesting how you mentioned both lines. I mean, I think the offensive line is worse. I think that has to be addressed. There's some good guys in free agency. You mentioned the guard need, especially. I mean, there's guys in free agency that they can get, maybe Joe Thuney, Brandon Sheriff, just 2 names that come to mind. But there are also some guards in the draft that they could get, maybe not first round, but we'll see what route they go and how they choose to spend their cap space. But yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I mean, especially with players that we've mentioned, like Kyle Pitts, like, the players they already have on that roster. Things are looking good. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with Tyler's tips on this video for sure.
Thank you. Jordan?
I'd say maybe target one more cornerback for the defense, for the offense, offensive line, tight end. Keep Mr. Teddy Bridgewater. I like what I've seen from him. Trust him, okay? Do it.
So you're not doing any type of trade. You're not going after
No.
Carr or Wentz or Watson.
No.
I really think it could be
I
a dark
didn't
horse
mention
team for
Carr
Watson.
here. That's another good one.
Yeah, I think they're a dark horse team for Watson personally, just because they have decently high draft capital. I mean, they're picking 8th overall, so it's not as high as the Jets or the Dolphins. They're a nice, young, up and coming team. You know, the culture's already building, the talent's there. They've got guys that would be good to work with for Watson, like McCaffrey, the receivers that we've mentioned. They got Joe Brady on the staff, one of the young offensive minds in our game that has done a really great job in the NFL and in college. I mean, I just think it would be a great situation, and I think Carolina is a team that could say, you know what, hey, we like some of the guys we have. We think that we can, keep on building forward and take this next step and try and compete this year in this tough division. So I do think that Carolina is a dark horse team for Deshaun Watson if he is to be traded, which is more likely than not.
And I'm not saying that would be a bad move. What I'm saying is I just don't expect them to do it.
Yeah, and I
For
mean,
some reason, the Panthers to me are just a team that wouldn't go out and do something huge. It's kind of like the Bears. Really, besides the Mac trade, they don't really do anything. So
I don't know.
it's just
Maybe the Panthers
are
are pouts this time, because even if it's not Watson, where you have to give up
they are
potentially
cats.
3 first-round picks, maybe they go lower for Derek Carr or Carson Wentz. Maybe more of a lower, not like bad, but not as elite as Watson. So we'll see. It just kind of depends on how much they want to give up.
I think Derek Carr and Carson Wentz are probably better than Teddy Bridgewater, but I don't think it's a huge gap where you're willing to give up a heck of a lot.
But Watson is, and with him, I know that if you have him back there, no matter who you're playing, you have a chance to win if you have him there healthy.
If I'm Watson, though, this is not my first team I'd choose. I wouldn't choose the Panthers
I think it's kind of attractive. The culture's there. They're young. They're up and coming. You get McCaffrey. You get guys
it's not as attractive as some other teams. They were like the 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, they're not as Super Bowl contention ready as potentially the 49ers. But
on that standards, you can't say this person's always going to go to the most attractive team because or the team that is built for the most success, because there's other factors that of course play into
and it's also, as far as the trade goes, like the Panthers.
I feel like Watson wants to win. After last season, he wants to win. He wants to win now.
He could win with Carolina.
I'm sure.
Carolina played some good teams.
I'm not going to go so far to say as I truly believe they're a playoff team right now. I think they're contenders for the playoffs.
For sure.
Could be a dark horse for it, but I don't think next year is going to be the year we say, wow, the Panthers are one of the best teams in the league. But it's next year, we're a year from now, and we're saying, wow, the Panthers could be one of the best teams in the league next year. It's rebuilding. They got to keep pounding. The pun was intended there because I'm pretty sure that's their slogan.
It is.
And with this new era, it seems like there's a lot of success going on here. But we'll take a rough estimate here. How many wins do you guys think they get next year? No schedule. We're not looking at anything. Yeah. Very rough estimate, just to just judge it on.
7. While you're thinking, I'll just give a shout out to Curtis Samuel and Mike Davis, who were on my fantasy team last year. Thank you guys for your contribution to my team and our 3rd place finish.
All right. Thank you for that. And you know what? I'm going to go a little higher. I really like the young talent on this team. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs like we talked about just a minute ago, but I think they're young and up and coming, and we will see significant improvement. I'm going to say they go 9-8, provided we do have 17 games, which I think we will.
We should.
Yeah.
Last year they went 5-11, just to put it in perspective. Yeah. With the extra game this year, I think they go 8-9.
Okay.
We're at 7-9.
We're all in that area where there's going to be improvements, but I don't know if it's going to be to the point where we're saying the Panthers are Super Bowl contenders. Yeah. I think if you're a Panthers fan, maybe you're not the happiest to hear that, but you can understand it. I mean, it's tough to go from 5 wins to the big mark of playing in the Super Bowl.
Trust me, I'm a Bears fan. We're not Super Bowl contenders. I'll admit it to you right now.
But as we've mentioned, there's a lot of future players on this team that we could see them having an impact to get them to that position. It's exciting with this Carolina Panthers team. Let us know what you guys think about them down below in the comments. So comment down below what the Panthers should do during the offseason.
Is it down below? I don't think you told us.
Yeah, it is down below. Okay. So also down below, there's that like button down there. There's the subscribe button and the notification
There's also a share button, right? You could share.
Oh, there is a share button. I've never actually done that on a YouTube video, but
there might be a report button.
How to do it.
I don't actually know. Report is on the video. It's not below. I don't think.
Don't report.
But don't report it.
Yeah, we're not doing anything.
Unless you're telling YouTube, hey, you guys, you better like these people.
Yeah, bump up the algorithm for the touchdown table. That's what you should report.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment down below. We'd love to have a conversation about this Carolina Panthers team in the 2021 and 2022 NFL season. So yeah, do all of that. Thank you guys for watching this video. With that, we'll see you guys later.
See ya.